Hello, guys. Welcome back to this new live streaming dedicated to the analysis and thoughts of the second to last episode of this season 4, part 2 of Shingeki no Kyojin. As you all know, I just started like this in 30 seconds, but before starting, I just wanted to tell you that next week there will not be an episode next Sunday plus next Wednesday, in this case, there will not be an episode due to a special program on NHK that doesn't have anything to do with anime. So it's not something that is regarding Shingeki no Kyojin. It's not regarding something in about anime in general. It's not regarding Anime Japan. I mean, it's something else. It's an extra program on NHK. So next Sunday you will not find the episode. The last episode of season 4, part 2 will come out the 3rd of April for you, the 4th of April midnight for me. And of course, as I told you already, I will be there. Plus, I think at this point that there will be a sort of announcement immediately after the episode, not on Anime Japan. So please don't wait any sort of announcement during Anime Japan because it would be pointless. I mean, it happened already last year, so you know what I mean. Definitely on Anime Japan, they will analyze this part 2. They will talk about the characters, etc., etc. But if you're waiting for a spoiler, if you're waiting for an announcement dedicated on this part 3 or this movie that is coming out, forget about it. Okay, these analysis will be reduced today because most of the parts of this episode were actions, and of course I will dedicate my compliments on Mappa really soon about this episode in particular. But let me start step by step as always. So we are going to reach those action moments too. Um, as you can see at the beginning of the episode, there was a repetition of what happened in the previous one. I mean, they wanted to underline once again that Armin and Connie killed Samuel and Daz, these two friends that were supposed to stay friends actually, but we already analyzed in the previous analysis and thoughts that sometimes there is no other choice rather than choose your own path, and everything depends on the mission you have, because this mission, no matter how many obstacles there are in front of these, um, the most important thing is to go ahead and to pursue the goal. But what captured my attention during this episode, since the moment I watched it, not just when I rewatched it by myself, are the eyes of Armin. If you noticed, there is a moment in which they are showing us one eye of Armin, and I wanted to start my compliments on Mappa Studio because I think that one great quality of a mappa is to represent the eyes that are reflecting even some sort of emotions of the characters. In this case, if you check carefully this eye of Armin, you detect that it's like as if there is the ocean inside of Armin's eyes. And this ocean seems to be pretty tumultuous. I mean, inside of a tempest or something. And I really liked this connotation because you all know that it was thanks to Armin that they had this sort of a dream of reaching the ocean, of reaching other sort of a continents altogether, etc., etc. So I think that this reflection on of Armin's eyes compared to the scene that they are looking at in that specific moment, that means when Samuel and us died, are reflecting also the fact that this dream to go to the ocean since the beginning was transforming itself into a pure nightmare. And I really liked these Eyes of Armin because, yeah, it's reflecting the same ocean that in previous seasons it was like a dream. And now, on the other side, it's definitely a nightmare. A nightmare or a trauma that is caused on these characters. So I definitely liked this slow motion that there is yeah, at the beginning of this episode. There are other slow motions in this episode. We are going to talk about it later, but definitely this is one of Mappa's techniques. I mean, to emphasize something specifically thanks to the slow motion. You know that it happened even when Eren's head was cut, for example. The tension that is caused thanks to these frames that are following one after the other one, it's pretty heavy. And it's created on purpose. That's a style of mappa that I really, really like. Um, and then, in fact, we see Daz that is drowning. We see the weapon that Connie used to kill Samuel. You see Samuel's body over there. So, as you can see, even in this case, you hear the deep silence because there is no other way. There is no proper music to convey these sort of um, feelings in this moment. Um, as I was telling you then, there are lots of actions in this episode, and I wanted to praise Mappa Studio because I think that, especially in this episode, that they made such a great job, and they definitely were creating these sort of emotions that could let us be part of it. I mean, we were definitely finding moments in these episodes in this episode in which we felt a part of the episode. I mean, as if we were fighting together with them, and that was really nice. I think Mappa with this episode confirmed us that if they have a little bit more time to create even the motions with the ODM, they can definitely create something stunning. So I think that even if a part three or a movie will come out, it will take a little bit of time, but this time that they need will be really useful for them to create the same intensity, the same great things that were created in this episode, or even more, because in the case of a movie, you need to know that the movie has already another sort of quality. I mean, the quality of a movie, it's not the quality of the usual episode that is coming every week. So definitely, I think that at this point, if there will be a movie, you needed to know that you have to wait a little bit of time. Now, I don't, sincerely, I don't know how much time do you have to wait. Especially because in your case, it's coming out some months after the release here in Japan. But look, if you think about it, maybe it could last 1 year, or if they are already working on it, it can also come out at the end of this year. So I don't know exactly the releasing date because nobody knows that. But it depends if they are already working on the movie, if there will be a movie. Otherwise, if there is a part three, you needed to know that, as I was telling you, even in the previous comments and analysis, it can happen what happens to Magia Rekodo. You know that Magia Rekodo, that is the side story of Madoka Magica, is coming out the 3rd of April with the final season with just 4 episodes. With a special day in which these 4 episodes are coming out all together, and that's it. With the 2 hours. So never say never. It can happen the same even with the Shingeki no Kyojin. It depends on what they decide to do. But going back with what I was saying, you see all these actions during these episodes, especially going scene after scene. Annie and the Reiner are trying to defeat the Jaegerists as much as they can. And at the same time, while these two titans are fighting, you also see that Hanji and all the others are talking, especially with the Azumabito. They are talking about the situation right now because they have to reach Eren before everything is destroyed, collapsed entirely. And these engineers are not giving them great ideas or great options, because these engineers are saying that it will last one day or at least a half a day, and you all know that the rumbling is so fast that if they have to wait a half a day, it's not going to work. I mean, Eren and all the other colossal titans are going to destroy everything no matter what. So I think that in this moment, while they are analyzing these things, you definitely can feel the tension, the sort of moment in which you're running through time because the time is flying and you don't have a definitely you don't have time to think more. You feel under pressure, and I think that this under pressure feeling was definitely conveyed in this episode. You see the terror inside their eyes because they don't know if they can make it, and all this that happened so far could be meaningless. So I really liked that in this moment, Hanji, for example, doesn't know what to do anymore. The engineers are under pressure because they have to do it fast as they can. Then there is even Magath, who is asking them, please, instead of 1 hour, let's make it in 15 minutes. So as you can see, these way to compress time so you are able to reach your goal. Especially because in this story you see as if the characters can go through time, but they can also defeat the time. And this is really interesting. I mean, sometimes it depends on our perspective. I mean, time seems to be longer or seems to be shorter as much as our feelings are involved in what we are or in what we have to do. For example, sometimes it feels that one thing is lasting forever, and the sooner after you think that another action is lasting a few seconds. We also say sometimes, oh, that episode, it seemed that it lasted just 5 minutes. And other times we say, oh, that was so boring that it was lasting more than 20 minutes. So as you can see, the extension of time that in this story is playing a great role, no matter if it's due to the slow motion that wants to emphasize one specific scene instead of the other one, and no matter the psychology of the characters. In this case, in this episode, everything is running so fast. It's like as if they can't even breathe because the time is flying and they have to find a way as soon as possible. So I really like this extension or compression of time depending on the moments that they are living. Um, But I have to tell you one thing specifically. While Hanji is saying everything that is happening to Liberio and the fact that maybe they don't have the proper time to make it and they are confused, they are anxious, they are afraid, and whatsoever, in that moment, John is having this sort of a flashback in his mind in which you see John, Connie, and these men. They are hugging together, and okay, they are drunk because you see John's face that is like this, and Connie that is like that. So I think they are drunk. He is having this vision specifically when Hanji is talking about Liberio. So at this point, who is this man? He is an old man, from what I know. And is that person a person who helped them somehow when they were trying to infiltrate in Liberio? Because you need to remember that at a certain point, of course, they are coming to Liberio. We all know that from episode one of season 4, part one, when you see John that is reading the newspaper. Um, So you need to understand that they were there already. They were just waiting for the signal of Eren to attack. So we understand that for a period also Jan, Mikasa, Armin, Connie, maybe yeah, Armin, even if he was in the port, but anyway, he was coming to join them. So they spent a little bit of time with people in Liberia as much as Eren did at this point. So I definitely think that that person was helping them somehow, or they were having fun together, or this is also a character that is reminding me the words of Eren while he was talking to Reiner, because he was saying that throughout those years, even Eren had the chance to meet other people living in that side, on that side of the ocean, and he could realize that there were not just the bad people, but also good people. So I think that this man that John is having in his mind right now, and he is afraid because he thinks that this person is dying too because of the rumbling. Maybe that person helped them during the moment in which they were spending time in Liberia, and they were infiltrated, or anyway, maybe he helped them, giving them a shelter or a place to live. I don't know, but sincerely I think that these will be said in the future by Isayama, because that's his style. I mean, he's giving some frames somehow, and then he's going to understand. He's going to let us understand later what happened. So uh, definitely, I just think that that man was playing a great role, maybe in their life in Liberio, or anyway, it demonstrates us that no matter the sides, you can get affectionate by someone, no matter if it's on this side of the ocean or the other one. So, as much as for what happened to Eren and Falco, I think that even for John, Connie, and all the others, could have happened with these men. So, let's see what's going to happen, and let's see if Isayama is giving us an explanation about this. I mean, to us, anime only, because you have read the manga, so you already know what I'm talking about. And then Kiyomi suddenly is having an idea regarding Odiha, this area that was part of the Hizuru land. I mean, it was like a sort of a colony, let's say, and they are explaining how they can reach it faster. I mean, they can reach it with the um, airplane boat, the flying boat, and then they can, in the meantime, I mean, they can reach it with the ship. In the meantime, they can repair this flying boat, and then they are able to reach Eren somehow, even if they still don't know where Eren is, because Yelena didn't say anything to them. Yelena, come on. But anyway, I think that this attention was really felt. Yeah, definitely, because they are running out of time and they have to find a solution. As always, because even in previous seasons, it was always like this. When everything was collapsing, they didn't have lots of time to think, and they had to be so fast. But right now, the proportion of what's happening is totally different. So they needed to hurry up more than ever. Then there is the opening. And in fact, Hanji is saying, okay, I will refer to Mikasa what to do, etc., etc. And in fact, after the opening, you see that Mikasa is referring what she heard to Annie and to Reiner. That's pretty hilarious, because compared with what was happening in the previous seasons, you have never expected to find Mikasa as an ally of Annie and Reiner, telling them the next plan that they had to fulfill. So that was really, yeah, strange to watch. But at the same time, when Mikasa is reporting to Annie what to do, that scene reminded me when Armin was in that same position where Mikasa is. While he was talking to Eren in season 3, part 2, when in that case too, they had to develop that plan in order to defeat the Bertold. Do you remember? So I like that Isayama sometimes is changing the characters, but he's using the same leitmotiv of these scenes. So you definitely understand. Oh, I already saw this in previous seasons. I have already felt it somehow. This is the greatness of this author because it seems that nothing has changed. Just the characters are changed, and this is a huge difference. Um, but even a Reiner that is listening to Mikasa when in season 3 part 2 it was Mikasa who was trying to defeat Reiner with the Rai, so do you remember? And it's a thanks to Mikasa that now Reiner knows how to handle the Raiso thing, everything is going like a sort of a circle that is closing all the previous events, and that was simply strange. I mean, Mikasa was saying to Annie in season 1, Annie, fall, but right now she's next to her. So I really like this huge difference between seasons because it's a thanks to these differences that you can understand that the characters are also changed throughout the time, and nothing can stay the same. This is the beauty also of our real life. We behave somehow in a certain way some years before, and then maybe when years are passing, you even realize that you were not the same person. I mean, sometimes you say it to yourself, was I the same person? I mean, was that me that I was doing something like this? So, as you can see, the years are passing and even the characters are changing no matter the years. And this is great. If everything would have stayed the same, probably this would have created a sort of incoherence because nobody can stay the same forever. Everyone is changing year after year, month after month. So I think that is definitely coherent instead. Mm, but then another great moment was when Flock was seeing in front of his eyes that Hanji and Mikasa were killing his comrades. And in that moment, you see that Flock is having that face as if he can't definitely believe that Hanji, that was supposed to be the commander chosen by Erwin, now is changing so much like this, as if now they are enemies, while some years before, or yeah, maybe even yeah, some years before they were friends, or they were all together. This is painful also for Flock, I guess. I mean, no matter every time that I'm telling you that Flock is this, Flock is that, we should also remind the fact that Flock had a sort of a dream at the end of season 3 part 2, when there is this serum and they have to decide which one has to be saved between Erwin and Armin. And you need to remember that Flock at that time, he had this dream in which he was ready to fight for the freedom of a paradise, for this revenge that they had to cultivate inside their hearts, based on the fact that they needed a demon. Do you remember? And that demon right now is Eren, of course. But at that time, he was talking about Erwin being the demon that they needed. Do you remember? So Flock had this great purpose, and seeing his comrades in front of his eyes that are destroying this dream is catastrophical, let's say. Um, yeah, but I have to say that I admire a character like Flock also because no matter the episodes are going ahead, you see that Flock is developing a great strategical mind. Plus, he has already understood in advance the movements of these enemies, these traitors. So let's say that Flock is really intuitive and he definitely understands. Yeah, even in these episodes, he was saying, "Oh no, what are they trying to do? Oh, they are going to take the ship, so in the meantime they can carry even the flying boat, etc., etc." I mean, in his mind, there was already a vision of everything that was supposed to happen. So definitely, Flock is a pretty, yeah, strategical. He has a great skill that let him understand what's happening next. Then another thing that I noticed is that Reiner is trying to protect the Azumabito while they are trying to reach the ship. And as I was telling you before, Reiner already knows the power of the Raiso from season 3 part 2 when Mikasa and all the others were attacking him at that time. So the way in which he's protecting himself as much as Annie is protecting herself due to these attacks makes you understand that, yeah, Reiner already collected the info regarding the rice, so he definitely knows how to defeat these weapons. Mm, but it's hilarious because yeah, in season 3 part 2 they were attacking Reiner with those, and you know that it was a pretty emotional at that time, yeah. And Reiner also protects Annie when she's in a hard situation because Annie is a little bit different. I mean, Annie didn't experience the rise so directly as much as all the others. I mean, during the attack in Liberio, they experienced the rise. I mean, Reiner, Pick, at that time, Galliard. Um, and they were experiencing how to defeat this sort of weapon, but in the case of Annie it was not possible for her to do something like this because she was inside the cocoon, so she has never getting in touch with those, and that's why Reiner is trying his best to protect her from these. And as always, I really like Reiner as a character because no matter the obstacle, Reiner is always there to protect the people. He knows that it's a thanks to him that they are over there. I mean, Annie has never wanted to be there, but she is over there because of Reiner's decisions, previous decisions. So he feels once again guilty, and that's why every time Reiner is trying to protect everybody, because if it's about him to die or to be sacrificed, that's not a big deal. But if it's somebody else that is over there because of him, then it's even worse. And that's what happened even to Galliard at the end of the day. You know that. And then another thing that I noticed is that when Flock is asking his comrades, no, it's not asking, he's demanding, that is different, his comrades to go ahead with other Raiso to get all the Raiso they could, and to keep going ahead defeating all of them. I mean, to kill the Azumabito, the engineers, all of these traders, plus they have to attack the ship too, so they can't escape and whatsoever. But the tension that was created during his speech, yeah, reminded me the speech before the suicide attack of Erwin, because no matter if Erwin and Flock are different, they were imposing their will through their speech in the same way. And in fact, you see the terrorized faces on these comrades on Vlog, that they definitely don't want to risk their lives. I mean, they don't want to sacrifice themselves for this, but they are forced by this imposition based on the authority that Flock has on them. So, as you can see, from this scene, you understand that Flock is not loved by his comrades. They just have to follow Flock's orders because they are also afraid that if they say no, they can be killed by him in an instant. So, as you can see, the freedom that is not freedom at all. And I already told you about this. I mean, Flock wants to create this sort of freedom based on domination once again, so it's not a freedom. Even in this case, you see that he is imposing his will on them, and they can't refuse. They can't say no. They can't say no, not because they definitely can't say no thanks to their mouths, but they can't say no, otherwise they are afraid to be killed by him, or they are considered traitors too. So maybe one is going against the other one. So as you can see, the power of a Flock's speech is definitely the same. I mean, the power to convince others during these sort of moments is definitely there. I mean, Flock right now has the same control on their minds as much as Erwin had the same control on their minds in season 3, part 2, before the suicide attack. And actually, even this is a suicide attack because they are going to die anyway. They are going to be defeated somehow, no matter the reinforcements that are coming. But yeah, that moment I felt the same exact thing that happened in season 3, part 2, where Flock was the protagonist at that time. I mean, Flock was the one who was terrorized, who was psychologically unstable because of Erwin's speech. Do you remember that he was asking at that time to Erwin, are you telling me that I'm going to die? Are you telling me that I am going to sacrifice myself, etc., etc.? But now he changed, he switched the position. Right now, he is the one who is forcing others to do what he wants. But you already understood that Flock it's like this. I mean, even in the previous episode, even if the in the previous seasons for him it was something bad to do, then he is doing right now what he thought that it was bad previously. So um, you see, this sort of incoherence of character based on this concept of a freedom that is not there. I mean, I can't see any sort of a freedom. I could even imagine if a flock survived and if the Jinarashi, I mean, if the rumbling was going ahead and the rest of the world would have been exterminated, um, I would have imagined the flock going back to Paradise, becoming the hero of a Paradise, and then he would have become maybe the ruler of a Paradise. So, as you can see, I tell you once again, as soon as there is a hierarchy, there is not freedom. And I think that Flock would have never wanted all the rest of the Paradise to be free to think what they wanted. He would have always wanted to have everybody or everything under control. So even this concept of a freedom is gone since the beginning. I mean, since the Jaegerists wanted to take control of a Paradise, and I don't think that that's what Eren wanted. Close the bracket. That's already a problem. That's already a way to create a dominance once again. But anyway, then we move to Flock. Then we move. Sorry, to Falco because even Falco wants to go in action to start fighting. Also because even in this case, once again, a character like Falco is. In this episode, I feel that he has great connections with Armin, for example, because both Armin and Falco thought that they were not the good ones to be chosen. If you remember, even Armin, when he was chosen, he thought, no, look, Erwin was better than me. As much as a Falco, right now, he feels guilty, but he feels that Galliard would have been better than him in this situation. Also because Galliard was already a Titan, while Falco is experiencing for the first time the way of being a Titan and the transforming procedure too. So yeah, I found some connections with Armin at this time. Falco is a great character, and of course, as always, he feels guilty. He was one of the first characters from the other side of the ocean to be more conscious of the situation, even more than Gabi, even more than Megadeth. Yes, definitely. But I'm asking myself, Falco is saying, if Galliard would have been here, it would definitely have been better. Are we sure? I don't think so. Especially because I don't think that Galliard would have ever stand on this side. I mean, I don't imagine Galliard making that a sort of alliance. I don't imagine Galliard making the speech during that great episode while they are eating all together in the forest. I don't think that Galliard would ever stand this. So I am so happy that Falco is here instead of him. And I think that we need people more like Falco than Galliard, sincerely. Um, then the reinforcements are coming. You see that this train, this locomotive is coming. So other people are coming to save the Jaegerists. And in the meantime, Falco is ready to transform. But in the meantime, you see these great actions scenes. Between Mikasa and all these other Jaegerists. Let me open a bracket. I think that uh, Mikasa was a great protagonist of this episode as much as for Connie while they were moving, while they were using the ODM, and when there was this beautiful action and movement scene that was compared many times by the fans in these days with the Levi's attack. On Zeke, as much as the Levi's escape from Kenny, etc., etc. But look, I don't like to compare scenes. I mean, I don't. I mean, if it's something that is regarding symbols, that it's regarding some details in particular, yes, that's fine. But I don't like to say, "Oh, that scene was better. This scene is better." I just think that that scene that we saw in this episode, episode 86, was simply great. That's it. I don't want to say, oh, look, the Kenny's and Levi's scene was better, and this means nothing compared to it. I don't like these things. I just like to say that in this episode, the beauty of Mikasa came out, and the way in which she's a great warrior, because that's what she is. And many fans were saying that this scene was pretty cold, in which Mikasa is exterminating lots of her hex comrades. But I think that Mikasa had to be cold. I mean, she couldn't put her heart while doing this. Otherwise, there was the risk that she couldn't make it. Um, so this cold heart that Mikasa is having in this moment is based not just for the fact that she's an Ackerman, but also because she is imposing herself to be like this, because there is no other there is no other choice, there is no other solution to solve this. And if you remember, Mikasa was one of these people together with Armin that was hoping to find another solution, to find a dialogue, to find a way in which people could have understood, could have mediate, could have created a connection between the two sides of the ocean. But you see that right now, even Mikasa couldn't find any other way rather than attack them, in order for them to understand that the more they were going to attack them, the more the response would have been this. So I don't think that Mikasa is a cold hearted woman. I just think that she was forced to do something like this because there was no other choice. And at the same time, the beauty of these movements dedicated to Mikasa, Mappa made a great job, let me tell you. I was waiting for this moment because we saw many times Mikasa shining in the previous seasons. And we always understood that when Mikasa was there, everything was so sure because of her skills. I mean, since season one, okay, she was described as if she was counted for 100 soldiers together. So we know that Mikasa's power is undeniable. But the fact that we can see her in action as if she's like a war machine, and wow, that was stunning. Sometimes I was thinking that I was a part of these actions. I mean, I was a part of them trying to defeat the Jaegerists. I mean, I was part of these battle. So Mappa could create these sort of feelings on us, as if even the viewers were there. fighting with all these aliens members. Um, Then I go back 1 second with this scene. The reinforcements are coming. Annie and Reiner are almost desperate because you hear that even Reiner is saying, "Come on, buddy, move, please," because otherwise there's the chance that we are going to die here. And Annie is saying, "I can't see anything." So you understand that there is a hopeless moment where they can't do anything rather than hope that this thing is ending. Falco that is trying to transform, but he can't. So, as you can see, even in this moment, the tension that is created and this slow motion that is helping this moment for us to understand that something might happen or that something bad can happen. I mean, there are always two paths. Or something good is happening, that means that somebody is coming to rescue them, or something bad is going to happen, as much as what happened with Eren, for example. There was the slow motion, and then Gabi was a shooting, and bye bye, see you later. I mean, it depends, but I like this attention. I like the moments in which you have to guess what can happen, or you can definitely feel it. I mean, I got chills in this episode many times. So thank you, Mappa, for this slow motion because it was pretty essential. Yeah. But in this case, where Annie was hopeless, Reiner was hopeless, the reinforcements were coming, Falco was trying to transform, but he couldn't. Connie is coming to save Reiner and Annie. And even the Connie's scene was definitely amazing. I saw that the fans were praising the Mikasa's actions only. No, I have to say that even Connie's actions with the ODM were pretty stunning. And it was really nice to see Connie protecting them because he keeps going ahead with the promise he's making. That means instead of going one against the other one, it's better to create these aliens in order to save the more people we can on the other side of the ocean. So his intention is still there. I mean, no matter if he killed Samuel and does, I think that in Connie there was this trauma that was created in the previous episode that he will never forget that moment. But at the same time, he knows that he was doing something like this, even betraying his friends, even killing them, um, to surpass this trauma that was created in his mind in the previous episode. It was a step forward for him because we needed to put ourselves in Connie's position. We know that we know that Samuel was rescued by Sasha, and we all know the concept that Connie has of Sasha. That means a twin, a soulmate, and whatsoever. And at the same time, he was killing the same friend that was rescued by Sasha. Yes, we know that. But we needed to understand that things are changed. We needed to understand that the proportion of everything that is happening changed, and we needed to understand that Connie right now is in a state of mind that in which he understood that the priority right now is to save humanity in general, because that was the purpose of the Chosahedan. That was the purpose of the freedom, the wings of freedom, to help humanity go against the terror, go against the oppression. So if the Jaegerists want this oppression, and if now we see things on a different perspective, on a different proportion, and we understand the main theme of the wings of freedom of the Chosa Hedan in this moment, Connie is right, because the Jaegerists want to impose their ideas on humanity. They want to impose, thanks to the rumbling, the choices on humanity. And this choice of opposing humanity, imposing humanity, compressing humanity, uh, it's definitely going against the principles of what Chosahedan was doing at that time. So when the flock is using the Shinzo Sasageyo, is wrong, because the Shinzo Sasageyo was used by the Chosahedan to go outside the walls to help humanity to survive. But Flock in this case wants the opposite. I mean, Flock with the Jaegerists, they want to exterminate humanity because of their domination. This is a huge contrast with the Shinzo Sasageyo. People at that time were going outside of the walls, Erwin and all the others, to defeat the problem that was oppressing humanity. That means the Titans. So right now, Connie, Jan, Mikasa, Armin, Hanji, Levi, they are doing the same thing, extended on a different proportion. And we see everything that is turning upside down, but the concept is always there. That's why, since the part one of a season four, when I'm telling you that the Shinzo Sasage it doesn't exist anymore in Paradise, it's true, because now the people who are using the Shinzo Sasageo are the Jaegerists, and it's antithetical. It's an oxymoron. It's a contrast. It's something that is not matching anymore with the purpose of the Wings of Freedom. The Flock's Wings of Freedom is let's save Eldia only, the rest who cares. The purpose of the Wings of Freedom at that time was to save humanity, and at that time they thought that humanity was just inside the walls. Um, Mikasa, even the Mikasa is trying to defeat the rest of the Jaegerists. The scene was simply stunning. We all know that. And in the moment when Mikasa was busy to defeat some Jaegerists, one girl that was a Jaegerist too was trying to shoot her, but John helped her, as always. And Mikasa is taking away the blood from her face. That moment was, something crazy. Okay, I really like Mikasa that is turning like a demon in this case. You see, when she's taking the blood away and she's looking with those eyes as if she's saying, "Look, now I don't care about anything." This reminds me the brutality, let's say, that even Levi used, not just with the Zeke in season 3 part 2, but also in the OVA when he was discovering that Isabel and what's his name? These two comrades of Levi, these dear friends of Levi, were killed. So the no, but even the brutality that he was using always throughout the scenes, even in season one, even in season three, part two, even in season four, part one. I mean, the same eyes of Levi could have been seen in Mikasa in this episode, and we know that. I mean, Ackerman, when they are forced to attack, or when they find themselves hopeless and there is no other way, no other choice, then they turn into demons. Um, and this particular skill of the Ackerman is well underlined. That's why, to be honest with you, I would have liked somehow to understand who was the first Ackerman, for example. I would have liked to understand or to learn more about this clan that is, yes, it was considered as a scientific experiment on these few people. So I would like to understand who was the first one and why this first one could create this clan. That's so interesting. If they could have made a spin-off regarding this clan, that would have been so great, in my opinion. I never say never. It can happen. There's not a big deal. I mean, the huge success that Shingeki no Kyojin is having makes you understand that nothing is impossible. No matter if Isayama wants to create a sequel or not. I mean, it will not happen because Isayama said that he doesn't want to do any sequel. But you all know how this works. I mean, the editors are pushing the authors so much to create a sequel to go ahead because this is selling a lot. So we need a sequel so fans will be happy. I mean, I think that even Isayama heard from the editors, come on, do it, do it, do it, do it, because they don't want this story to finish. But I think that Isayama is imposing his ideas of not having a sequel. But at the end of the day, they can make a prequel. That could be great because there are so many things that I think that they should have been explained, maybe uh, in a different way, or sometimes better, like in the case of the Ackerman. I was so curious about the Ackerman, see. Um, Even at the war, yes, the wars between Marley and Eldia at that time, 2,000 years before, or even at the Great Battle 100 years before. Um, there are so many things that can create a sort of a prequel, but I don't know if it's happening, to be honest. Um, and when John is rescuing Mikasa because she doesn't see that that woman is trying to point at her, to shoot her, let's say, the John and Mikasa are saying two sides, I mean, two parts of one sentence. And the sentence is that if they don't go ahead like this, the Jinarashi, I mean, the rumbling will never be stopped. Uh, this moment between Jan and Mikasa reminded me the same sentence that Mikasa repeated inside her heart, even in season 4, part 1, when she's saying, if we don't fight, we will never win. That is the same sentence that Eren always told her since the beginning. I mean, since she was rescued by Eren in episode 6, we see it season 1. But the thing is that even in this case, this sentence is pretty meaningful. I mean, as much as the sentence that John and Mikasa are forming, but even if you don't fight, you will never win. And it's like, I mean, if we compare episode 6 of season 1 with this one, you see that even in this case, Mikasa, it's like as if she's repeating to herself this sentence, if we don't fight we will never win, if we don't fight we will never win. You know that in episode 6 of season 1, when Eren is rescuing her, he keeps saying tatakae, tatakae, fight, fight, otherwise you can't win. And in that moment Mikasa is releasing this huge power. I mean, she's releasing this sort of aura around her that makes you understand that she released this great skill she has later in the future. So I saw that even in this episode, she was brutal, and she was definitely cold, as much as at that time in episode 6, when Eren is about to be choked by this thief, and Mikasa, after she hears Eren, Tatakai, 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 then she's boom, she's helping Eren in that moment. So I find that there's a similarity because Mikasa's psychology right now is vulnerable. I think Mikasa is the protagonist of this story, because everything is going around her. I mean, if you check, all the story is centered on her. No matter if we think that the main protagonist is Eren, but at the end of the day, is Mikasa the protagonist of Shingeki no Kyojin? Because everything will be on her shoulders since the beginning. And I think that even in this episode, okay, I will tell you later when we reach the end of it, but you see that everything is on Mikasa's shoulders, and you understand that The pressure that she's having on her heart right now is something that I would have never liked to experience in my life, to be honest. But we will talk about it later. So, yeah, I hope you understood what I mean when I told you about this sentence that was divided into two parts. One part was said by John, one part was said by me, because that is pretty essential. I mean, it's really important. Um, then there is another scene in slow motion, because you see that everything is falling apart. They don't know what to do anymore, and as I was telling you, the slow motion is helping a lot. And immediately after, you see that Falco is transforming. I mean, the Joe Titan is here once again. And let me tell you honestly, between Marcel, between the fake Ymir, between Gallier, that Falco is a great Joe Titan. I think that it was the best representation of the Joe Titan so far. I mean, that's what I like the most. And I think that is the best developed one. I mean, not just the physically speaking, but even the huge scream that you hear that Falco is making at the moment of the transformation was giving me chills. So I really like that. And later, I'm going to tell you one thing sincerely. Now, look, let me tell you now. Um, Falco in Italian means hawk, the bird. Okay, and we saw that Falco has always had a great connection with the Hawks, especially even in episode one of season four, part one. You see that the first thing you see is a bird, as always. But um, so I'm wondering. Right now, they are running out of time. They don't know what to do, and they have to move forward in the fastest way possible. But Falco, by being I mean, the translation of his name is a hawk. And from what I've understood here in this episode, he seems like a bird. So I'm wondering why they can't fly with a falco. Okay, the problem is that this is the first transformation of a falco, so it requires time. It takes time for him to get in touch with the Titan, to get used to it, etc., etc. But I'm wondering, will they use Falco, for example? I mean, if in the meantime he is training and he is transforming and he is developing his skills, I think they can reach Eren thanks to him. Because if he can fly, they can go on top of a falco and they can reach Eren anyway. So I think that I thought that as soon as I saw that he's a Joe Titan, is reflecting the fact that he's a bird. So I was saying, Hanji, don't worry, there's Falco. I mean, in the case the flying boat is not going ahead and it's not working, you can use Falco. And I think that you can reach Eren faster than with the flying boat. That's what I believe. But then let's see. But I was thinking, why you don't use Falco? Then I understood that by being the first transformation, it's almost impossible. But that was my idea. Let's see if it's happening, because otherwise it's pointless. I mean, okay, maybe in this part three or the movie that is coming, you see that Falco will be really essential to attack Eren from the sky, for example. Yeah, it could be possible, as much as the other titans can attack him on earth. Um, let's see. Let's see. But I was thinking, okay, Falco, maybe later in the future you can be useful, or to reach Eren, or to attack Eren from the sky. Let's see. But anyway, mm, Flock, I really like the scene in which a Flock is in front of a Falco that is transformed, and Falco is screaming in front of him. That was a great scene, in my opinion, because even over there, you hear no, not you hear, you feel the tension of that moment. I mean, it's like as if a Falco right now is so aggressive that Flock is. I Definitely, he doesn't know what else to do. And in fact, you see that Flock is running so fast immediately after. And Yeah, even that scene was simply awesome because Hanji was coming on one side, and then there was the attack of the Joe Titan. Wow, that movements that they were so fast and so clean. Let me tell you, because even if Mappa is making fast motions, and even if the CGI is pretty clean and you can definitely see everything, yeah, the fact of being clean, no matter if it's fast, it makes sense because this studio, we know that this studio is working a lot to make scenes like this, to help you seeing or catching the details no matter how fast they are. And this is a great point of Mappa. I think that Mappa can help other anime coming later in the future to be like this. I mean, to be clean while being fast in motions. So I really like that. Yeah. And Flock, then after this attention that we see in this moment, we see that Flock already has the last chance using the last rise. So, and wow, the slow motion in which you see Hanji like John Mikasa. Oh, I mean, that was so great because you once again understand that something is happening soon. And the last sentence that Flock is saying, because yeah, even if in the reaction video I said that maybe Flock is not dead, but okay, I think he's dead. But when he is saying the last sentence, I will be the one who's going to save Elia, will be me, is me. Flock, no, I mean, I already explained you what I mean. Eldia was one thing, Yumi Ronotami were other things. So I think that Flock is missing this huge part that was essential for him to understand the difference between this Eldian empire and the Yumi Ronotami. But okay, Flock, you died with your convictions and with your beliefs, and okay. Anyway, Flock was a good character because even in his case, he had a purpose and he was ready to do the impossible to reach it. I mean, all characters of Shingeki no Kyojin are like this, so we can't blame Flock for this. Um, but Gabi, once again, is the one who killed him. So, Gabi, you're pretty dangerous here, my dear, because she was defeating people in the Fortress Lava in episode one of season four, part one. Then she was killing Sasha. Then she was trying to kill Eren. Then she killed even Flock. I mean, she killed even the Titan that it was the Titan of um, what's his name? Oh my! I lost it. I have it here on my tongue, but I don't remember. She was rescuing Kaya by killing the Titan, and there was mm, okay. When I remember, I will tell you. I have the the name that it doesn't come to my mind right now. What the f? What's that name? Not Pixie's the other one. Ah, okay. No, it doesn't come to my mind right now. I will tell you later. Um, but anyway, Mikasa, once again, there are these other motions, these actions, scenes that are pretty amazing. And look, I love Mikasa. Mikasa is one of my favorite characters, and she's a badass woman. And all the people who are saying, she's a man, she looks like a man. No, she's more woman than in the previous seasons, let me tell you. Especially in this season, she is a great woman digging inside her feelings to find the answer. And that was so great. I mean, I love Mikasa. No matter the fact that we have to be always correct to say no, she did something wrong because she killed the Jaegerists. For 1 second, let me tell you, that scene in which she was killing all of them, it was cruel, it was brutal, it was cold, but she was amazing. Okay, I really liked the way in which she's proving us once again that she's more than 100 soldiers altogether. I really like her. And then there is that moment in which the blood is falling on her head as if it's rain. Okay, that scene is amazing, and in fact, I put it as a thumbnail today because it's one of my favorite scenes of this episode. Um, I think Mikasa, since she met Eren the first time, she was cursed. At the beginning, this curse seemed to be a pleasure. It seems to be something good. It seems as if she acquired a family member. I mean, she was acquired in the Jaeger's family, so everything is so beautiful, and she could have restarted her life with a new family. But the more we go on, the more this curse is intensified. And I think that this blood, that this rainy blood, this bloody rain, sorry, that is falling on top of her head, is already a sign that what's coming next is, as I was telling you many times, is that she's going to kill Eren. And in this episode, I have another confirmation of this. But this bloody rain already anticipates the pain that Mikasa will feel later by killing Eren. And it's like, yeah, as if this bloody rain is a curse on her, because until the moment she will kill Eren, she will see blood everywhere. So it's yeah, an anticipation of the destruction. It's an anticipation of what she has to do later. Plus, we find, of course, the conjunctions with the opening and the ending of, I mean, the second ending and the second opening, in which over there too there was a sort of blood on Armin falling on him, as much as in ending two, you see the rain, normal rain, falling on Mikasa. So it's I've never expected, sincerely, to find in these stories so many connections with the previous openings and endings. So this is already another step forward of this greatness of this story. But yeah, in the ending number two, you see that Mikasa is under rain, normal rain. But in this season, this normal rain is turned into a bloody rain. And as you can see, Mikasa is static over there. She's not moving. It's like as if she's accepting this rain on her because she knows that she's cursed, and because she knows that her mission will be something crazy, because even if she expected this since the beginning, because even in season one, she was saying, I can't stop Eren. I know that I can't stop him. I can follow him, but there will be a moment in which I can't stop him anymore. Yes, she's right. She was right since the beginning. But yeah, I really liked this frame. I think Mikasa was with her eyes closed, and she was cursed once again by the blood of his ex comrades, that she had to kill them because they would have not listened anyway. And with her eyes closed, he's also thinking what Levi thought throughout all this time, because Levi was assisting on all these scenes in which he had to kill comrades, and he had to see that other people were killing his comrades, and he couldn't do anything to help them. And even in this case, Mikasa is the author of this massacre that she couldn't avoid. And when she's with her eyes closed and the bloody rain is falling on her, that is increasing the curse she already has. Well, I feel Mikasa. I mean, I think that she is having the worst trauma ever, because one thing is to kill your friends, and one thing is to know that you will kill your lover. I think that it's something that can't be explained into words. I think it's, if Connie had a trauma while killing Samuel, I think that Mikasa, my, she's going to have the trauma that is going to change her a lot. I think she's going to face the ultimate pain. I don't know why, but yeah, okay. I will tell you later when we reach the last scene. But yeah, that was a scene that made me feel so sorry for her. Yeah. Then we see that Falco and his transformation is going wrong, as much as what happened with Eren. Not just while he was training, but also, if you remember, when he was fighting against Annie in season one, that he was turning into a black titan. In fact, you see that he was turning like a demon, okay? And he couldn't control his titan anymore. Or in season one, once again, when he was transforming, no, season two, sorry, when he was transforming, and the first thing he did was to punch Mikasa, because he couldn't even realize that that was her. Do you remember? Um, so both of these cases can make me understand that Falco, once again with Eren, have has something in common. Yeah, and in fact, when you see that Falco's transformation is going wrong, that he is also catching a peak and he's trying to eat her, etc., etc., you see that Mikasa is watching that scene. And it's important because Mikasa has always seen those scenes in which Eren couldn't transform properly, in which she was punched by Eren as a Shingeki no Kyojin because he couldn't understand that that was her. In fact, she was saying, "Eren, I'm a Mikasa. I mean, Mikasa, don't you remember me?" Or when she could take out. Eren from the first transformation, in which she was crying for him because she was afraid that he was not alive anymore. But when she felt the heartbeat, she said, "Okay, it's alive. He is alive." So, or even the moment in which um, yeah, after Annie's battle, Levi arrived and he took him out from the almost cocoon that was becoming part of him too. Mikasa saw Eren in those situations many times. So the way in which the author decided, I mean, I don't know if this is in the manga too, or it was created by Mappa, originally speaking, but the way in which Mikasa is looking at Falco and his gone wrong transformation, that got me chills once again, because yeah, Mikasa is seeing that scene all over again, and she's remembering what she has passed through that time. And in the case of Falco, Megath helped him to come out, and she felt nostalgic, I guess. Yeah, because at that time Levi helped Eren to come out from the Titan. Oh, and then, guys, Megath is going to sacrifice himself together with the Shadis. That moment was pretty emotional, and I think that was great. I mean, this meeting between the two of these old generation that prefers to go ahead, to go on the other side of the world. I mean, to die instead of being alive, because for both of them, I mean, both of them, they believe that now it's the time for the new generations to take the control of everything. I mean, you know what Sadis said already. You know that in his opinion, right now the most amazing time is for the new generations because his time is gone. He doesn't feel special at all. He knows that his students can be more special than him. Megath, that he's repeating inside of his head his mistakes, and he's saying this also to Shadis because of course, Shadis doesn't know him, and it was a perfect way to remember what happened so far before sacrificing himself. We know that Shadis stopped the reinforcements that they were coming thanks to the locomotive. And at the same time, we know that Shadis, when he's appearing, he still has the uniform that he was using while he was training his students. So this is so emotional. This is so powerful because you understand that by this uniform he is still stuck in the mentality of the first or the second or the third season, while the Jaegerists right now they are on another level and they are not the same as before. So I like that Shadis was having this uniform because he's representing the will to stay over there where he was, where he always was. And I really liked this detail, definitely. Plus, we understand that they enter these other ships, so the remained Jaegerists can't catch the other ship that already started. And yeah, the older generations for the first time, let's say for the first time, just because we compare with what's happening right now, that are sacrificing themselves instead of sending the new generations to sacrifice themselves for the old ones. So this is a new thing. Usually, even in the previous seasons, the older generations were forced to join these suicide plans, suicide attacks. Look at Edwin. He led all these young generations to sacrifice themselves, and this was bad. I mean, I think that what Shadis and Magath are doing right now is what everybody should have done before. I mean, you wanted to perpetrate this war between Marley and Eldia, blah 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 blah. Go. If you want to go, go, but don't involve the new generations. So what Megath and Shadis are doing is this. They let the new generations go ahead first and they solve the problems that they, all the generations, were causing on the new ones. And this was pretty powerful. Yeah, I really like that. In the moment that Shadis and Megath are talking, you see that Shadis is saying that he's so proud of his students because he saw that they were growing so much, especially when he saw that Annie joined them and while she was sitting on that cart. And yeah, previously I was telling you, look, um, or it's Shadis, or she's or it's Ihichi that is looking from that window. I was thinking at that time about Sadis too because we know what he was saying previously to the new generations. He was saying that he was telling her that he wanted to find a way to die, and right now there was no more the time for him to live. The time to live was that for the new generations, who are who he hopes that they will never forget what they are. And in fact, when he was seeing Annie going together with them, he was proud of them because they could solve some things that the previous generations couldn't do. And this was pretty awesome, in my opinion. I really liked the moment in which even Sadis is saying, I am proud of my students because they have grown up. They have grown a lot. And that's great. Do you remember how Shadis was in season one when they were recruiting the new members for the military forces? I mean, you see how different he is right now. And Magath is saying, look, you will be remembered as one of the saviors of this world. Um, And Chadis says, "You too." But then Magath is saying, "No, I don't think so because I did so many bad things in my life." And he's repeating to Shadis all the pain and all the mistakes he made. Also, because he is saying that Magath is saying, "I should have listened to my consciousness, to my conscience." And I agree with this. If Magath would have heard his conscience, I think that he would have never let these kids go to war. Of course, we understand that even by the attachment he has on with Gabi, but yeah, unfortunately, some historical events are going to make you become worse too. I mean, there some historical events are going to make you become bad, not because you want, but because you are following. I mean, you're going with the flow, and sometimes your conscience is becoming dirty, not because you want, but just because you go with the flow. And I think that Magath recognized that this and is a huge step before dying. I think that while he was talking with the Sadis, it was a way to confess his mistakes, as much as when you are confessing your sins to the priest before dying. I had that sort of a feeling. I mean, before dying, let me clean my conscience and then I can go, by knowing, of course, that I caused lots of problems to these new generations, by didn't let them give the chance to live a normal life, to be happy. And I like when he says, "If only I could let them have a normal life. Maybe I could have spared them all the pain that they are feeling right now." Yes, absolutely. But it's important that he recognized this. It's important that he understood that he was a cause of a pain for them and that he is not running away from his responsibility. I mean, Magath was a great character, a well developed character, because in this season 4, we had the chance to see on one side a Magath that was forcing others, that was really believing what he wanted to believe, that he wanted to transmit this guilt that aliens have on these poor new generations that were forced to do what they had to do in order to protect their family and in order to clean their conscience based on historical events that they were not part of it, of them. Or I mean, if we have to be honest, these poor kids were not even a part of these things that happened 2,000 years before, but they had to pay for them. So Megath knows what he did, and it's good that he knows what he did to them. And Sadis, by hearing these words, he's saying, "I respect you." Yeah, because he took a responsibility of everything that he did on these new generations. So I like that Sadis is paying respect on him. And I think that what Sadis is saying later is even more emotional, because he's saying, "I think that your students would be so proud of you right now, as much as I am. I mean, as much as I'm paying respect on you right now, I think that even your students or your fellows would be so proud of you right now." Yes, because not because he's sacrificing himself to help them, but because he recognized what he made on them, to them, and on them, because he was sending a sort of a curse on them. But the way in which he was realizing everything was simply amazing. As much as for Gabi, I think Gabi and Megath are two great characters, because they are not hiding their mistakes. They are not running away from them. They are facing them. And this is what I like, sincerely. I like when the characters are facing what they are doing and they are recognizing that sometimes they go beyond, they go too far from what they were before. So yeah, I hope that even Eren is realizing this before dying. So I think that he will have the chance to convey his real feelings. and he will be able to understand what he's losing. He will be able to understand that what he did was totally wrong. But I hope to see Eren in a different way before dying. I don't want to see Eren dying like as if he's mean, yeah, like this. I hope to see Eren that is conveying his last feelings before dying, his real ones. And if it's happening, I will love Eren more than ever because I still hope and I still believe that Eren's feelings are over there, and they are they are covered too much right now by anger, by revenge, by this, by that. But I hope that before Mikasa is killing him, we can scratch these shields, these layers of anger, revenge, and everything, and we can go straight to the point. We can reach Eren and his feelings before dying. Oh, it will be so emotional. I think I will get a pack of tissues while I go to the cinema in the case there is the movie, but let's see. Otherwise, if it's here, you will see all the thumbnails in which I will cry for sure. Um, and another thing that I liked was that they were introducing themselves. I mean, Magath and Shadis, they were introducing themselves before dying. That was really powerful, let me tell you. I really liked that moment because it was a way to acknowledge themselves. I mean, and they were not just words, but these words were followed by a name, as if it was an official statement, okay, before dying. Who said this? Theo Magath. Who said that? Keith Sadis. That was so great. This acknowledgement, thanks to this introduction, and then the explosion. But if you noticed, the sky that is always reflecting the mood of the characters, that is always reflecting the feelings of the characters, blah, 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 blah. You saw in this case that the sky was blue and there were some clouds that were black. That was really meaningful too. Because even if there are these clouds that are black due to the explosion of these ship, etc., the sky is still blue. That means that there is still hope over there. No matter the black things that are surrounding this sky, thanks to these black clouds, but there is always a hope that everything can be solved, that a life can be spared somehow. So that blue sky confronting, this blue sky connected with these black clouds, that was really meaningful. Yeah, to me. To me, it was meaningful. Mm. Then Hanji is explaining. We have this extra scene after the ending, and Hanji is explaining to all the others the decision Megath and her made before Megath's sacrifice. And let me tell you another thing that I noticed. While Hanji is talking about the decision they made to reach Odiha and to try to find Eren, blah, 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 you see that there is a bird on top of the ship they are using. I mean, is this already written? I mean, this bird that is on top of this ship while flying, it reminds me the omniscient character, the omniscient narrator. And if you know, in poetry, in literature, and whatsoever, in poems, in novels, when you have an omniscient narrator, usually in literature, the omniscient narrator is this voice that is coming from outside that already knows everything, that already knows how the characters will develop, that already knows all the choices they made, and whatsoever. And always the omniscient narrator in literature, poems, novels, whatsoever, modern literature or ancient one, let's call it like this, it's like as if the omniscient narrator is always staying on top of everything. as if he's looking from the top of a mountain and he's looking all down. Oh, everything that is below this mountain. Do you understand what I mean? So when I saw this bird on top of the ship that is flying, of course, that bird is Eren, if we follow what we heard so far. And of course, Eren said that everything is already written. And of course, Eren agrees with what they are doing, because you need to remember that Eren agrees with this. Agrees because that's what he wants. He wants to be killed by his friends, or he wants to be killed by Mikasa. That's what he really wants. By becoming the target of everything he wants, then one of his friends are going to kill him, definitely. But this bird that while Hanji is talking, as if even the bird that is Eren already knows what they want to do, already knows everything, because he saw it from the future, maybe because he saw that everything was written already. So that was a great detail, in my opinion. Um, and then we see Annie that is collapsing. I mean, she can't handle it anymore. I can understand Annie, let me tell you. I mean, once she hears that Liberio is already maybe attacked and is already rambled, she doesn't have any purpose to fight anymore. Because you need to remember that the only purpose Annie had is to reach her father, no matter if she's helped by Mika, Armin, and all the others or not. So once she's hearing from Hanji this, her purpose to fight is gone. Mm, she was not fighting for other purposes. She was fighting just for that. And if that thing is over, I'm finished here. I don't have anything to do. But Hanji, by saying what she's saying to Annie later, makes us understand as if Hanji is telling her, look, Magath sacrificed himself. Now you can't say that you will not fight anymore, because otherwise what we are doing this for nothing. We needed to remember, as Hanji is saying, that Magath didn't sacrifice himself for Marley or Liberio. Magath sacrificed himself to give them the opportunity to save as many lives as possible. There is something else. I mean, also Magath knows that Liberio is gone already, maybe. Yeah, they didn't have the confirmation, but based on Hanji's thoughts, yeah, Liberio is already gone. But, and I hope that they will show us Marley while it's attacked. I mean, I hope that they are showing us this rumbling affecting Liberio, Marley, and all the rest. Otherwise, we don't understand the impact that this Jinarashi is having. So I think that they will show us to make us feel even worse, because Isayama is a masochist. Let's show us even the rumbling that is affecting Liberio. I'm pretty sure that it's coming, but or I hope that it's coming, sincerely, because now everything is based on Hanji's thoughts, but we don't know where the rumbling is right now. So I hope that they were showing us this too. Um, so I understand Annie's frustration, I understand Annie's pain, and I understand that now Annie understands what all the others are feeling right now, because even Annie is experiencing the one and only loss that it matters for her as much as Eren when he lost Carla. Now I think that Annie can understand Eren more than ever, because even for Eren, Carla was one of the one and only. Okay, so for Annie, her dad was the one and only, the cause of all that she did. So once this one and only is gone, she now can understand maybe even Mikasa, because she lost her parents, because of the brutality of those thieves that day, as much as Eren who lost Carla, as much as Jan who lost Marco, as much as Reiner, as much as all the other. I mean, Annie finally is touched, she's moved by her heart based on the situation. So for the first time, we see the fragility of Annie. Okay, she has always cried. Even in season one, while she was a Titan, she was crying in the forest because she had to reach her dad, etc., etc. Yes. But now that she thinks that her dad is gone, we see a totally different character because at that time, in season one, she still had the hope that she could come back. And she has never imagined that the rumbling was starting. But right now, the rumbling is is going, and Annie thinks that she lost her dad. So it's a totally different perspective. And then, look, yeah, we are reaching the end of this analysis because now Annie is saying she doesn't want to fight with them anymore. She doesn't want to go one against the other one anymore. So she is done. I mean, Annie is tired. She has fought for so many years, not just thanks to punches and whatsoever, but she fought. She fought even mentally speaking, because she had to be raised in that way. She had to be sent to war in that way. She had to always feel lonely. And even this cocoon that she had for 4 years is representing the loneliness that this character was always having. While Armin made a difference because he has never left her alone. That's why I think, in my opinion, that Annie loves Armin also for this, especially now. Because after we got in touch with her background story, we understand the loneliness that she was having throughout all her life. But Armin is the one who never let her feel lonely or aside for 4 years straight. And that's why Annie can count on him because he was there. When everyone was going somewhere else and she was feeling lonely inside of that cocoon, he was there. And that's why, even if Annie's dad is gone, now Annie is another person that cares about her and already showed her that she's important somehow. Um, so she can start all over again. Do you understand what I mean? But anyway, when Annie, she's tired, she doesn't want to fight, but she's asking Mikasa the worst thing that reminds me, yeah, the scene with the bloody rain right now, the curse, okay? Can you kill Eren? I mean, I don't want it to be in Mikasa's position right now because I know that this moment was coming. And when I was telling you previously in this commentary that Mikasa is having everything on her shoulders, yeah. Even in this episode, I have the confirmation of how Shingeki no Kyojin will end. And it's terrible. I mean, not terrible, not because I don't like it, because I think that it's pretty coherent, actually. But it will be so sad. I'm not ready to see Mikasa cutting the neck of Eren. I'm not ready. I will never be ready because it's so painful. And I don't want to be in Mikasa's position because she was supposed to, through these entire seasons, the previous seasons, to save him. And yeah, maybe it's a way to save him anyway, because she helped him to be free from all these curse that he's having on his shoulders too. But I think she would have never imagined to kill him. She would have always imagined to find another way to save him, not this. And when Annie says, "Oh, can you kill Eren?" Look, I mean, She didn't even reply. Of course. I mean, I would have never expected Mikasa to say, "Okay, I will do it." No, she doesn't reply because she still can't believe that she has to do something like this. I mean, even if she realized that that's the only way, but one thing is to realize this, and one thing is to put this into actions. It's different. One thing is to say, "Oh, okay, I will kill him," and one thing is to do it for real. That's a huge difference. So, as I was telling you for the previous episodes, I think that Mikasa right now is just digging inside her heart. She's creating a sort of independence from the scarf, but also from her feelings. Based on what Eren told her, that wasn't totally wrong, it was a lie. Um, but she's trying to be independent enough to reach that moment, to reach the moment in which she can't cry in front of Eren while she's cutting his neck. She can't be so weak in that moment. So, right now, Mikasa is an immense character because she's building the walls she needs on her feelings in order to be able to kill him. And this is a painful path that she has to follow, but she has to follow this path because otherwise it would be impossible to kill Eren. So this cold-hearted the woman that seems to be cold-hearted but is so warm. I mean, Mikasa has a huge heart and has to face this moment, and this moment will be so hard. Look, oh my, I was right, I guess. I mean, I was right when I was saying that she will be killed. Eren. Yeah, yeah. And Eren will be happy because he will only accept Mikasa's choice to kill him. That will be the only death that he could accept. So I think at this point, as I was telling you 1 year ago, Eren was saying these things to her to push her to do something like this, to push her to be independent enough from the feelings that she's feeling for him to kill him. And it's a sort of a tatakai tatakai. I mean, it's a sort of a tatakai against your own feelings. And yeah, oh no. Look, I would have hoped, okay, that they would have spent the time together before dying. That they could have created the chance for her to have a baby. So she could have a sort of a heritage from him more than the scarf only. Mm, but oh, look, I feel sad right now. No, but anyway, I can feel Mika-san. And I really appreciated when Annie is saying, I don't want to fight with all of you guys anymore. I don't want to fight against Eren too anymore. Yeah, yeah. Because I think Annie understands even Eren right now. I mean, she lost her dad as much as Eren lost his mom that day, and all this is creating just pain, just violence, just revengeful thoughts. And what Annie is doing right now by admitting all this stuff is a sort of interruption of the loop. Because if Annie would have gone on with these revengeful thoughts, she would have not interrupted the loop. But her personal loop of revenge is interrupted today. I mean, is interrupted with episode 86. Oof. And at the end, another thing you see is that the ship is going like this, and the bird that is looking everything from the top of the ship is going a little bit like this. It's like as if, or the bird is indicating where is Eren, Can you imagine? I mean, the bird that is representing it and is telling them, look, Eren is over there, is indicating the position of Eren. Um, or anyway, that's Eren that is a little bit going on another side. This episode was simply great. Fernando, hello. Sorry, I reply you later because I had to finish the analysis first. What do you think the next episode will be about? I saw the preview. I saw that Eren is back. I mean, Eren, after 5 episodes, is back. And we see that they are talking about something. I mean, Eren and Zeke are talking about something. And we go back in time, maybe. Um, or anyway, look, I don't know how these part two will finish, but the perfect way would be to reach Eren, to find Eren, and stop it over there. Because I assume that the last battle will be the part three or the movie. So at least I think that they can reach him and they can see him because that would be the perfect way to interrupt. Okay. I mean, if we have to be bastard enough, they have to interrupt in the peakest moment, the peak of the peak moment in which they write to be continued and oh go F yourself. I mean, as always, it's like this in Shingeki. So I don't know. Maybe it's a mixed. I mean, maybe while remembering, I mean, while showing us what Eren told Zeke, I mean, while this background moment is going ahead, in the meantime, they are reaching him. Because I think that it took already enough time to be separated from Eren. So I think maybe they are not going so slowly this time and they reach Eren. And then the last battle will be later. The final part, the final battle will come later. Yeah, that's what I believe. Hello, Angie. Hello. Okay, I think that I told you everything that I had to tell you. Next weekend, I mean, this weekend, there will be Anime Japan. There will be a moment, a stage dedicated to Shingeki no Kyojin that will last 1 hour. I tell you already, once again, don't expect any sort of announcement because it's not going to happen. It's impossible that they announce something before the end of the last episode. So, not at all. Uh, I think they will analyze this part two in detail, as always. So this Sunday that is coming, the 27th, there will be this stage dedicated on Shingeki no Kyojin, but there will not be the episode. So I will see you directly the 3rd of April with the last episode of this part two, the part four, sorry, season four, part two of Shingeki no Kyojin, and see you that Wednesday that is coming immediately after for the last um, analysis for this part. Plus, we will analyze if there will be an announcement. I will analyze also that announcement that they will give us in the 3rd of April. On the 3rd of April. Okay. Thank you so much for the support. See you in the next video. See you the 3rd of April with the last episode of this part two, and let's see what's coming after. I'm pretty curious. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. See you next time. Bye.